Okay, so for today's video, I'm going to be going over a little bit about my finances. And by finances, I mean where I've made my gold in Dragonflight. The reason being that basically Dragonflight is pretty much over, right? Gold making is going to start to trickle down, start to slow down, because we only have, I'm going to say roughly 4 or 5 more months, but I can already see things slowing down significantly. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a video about where it is that I have made my gold. Now, before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how much I've made in this expansion. I haven't really crunched the numbers, but from what I'm seeing, I made about 8 to 9 billion gold so far in this expansion. I don't see that number really growing that much more. If anything, just to keep my purchasing my tokens for my game time. But yeah, I think it's roughly around 8 to 9. Now, that is significantly less than what I did in Shadowlands. Shadowlands, I did just under 20 million because that market was just crazy, right? And so with this one, it hasn't been quite the case because for me, there has been a lot of friction of me making gold. But that's besides the point. I just want to show you basically what professions really panned out for me and which ones did not. And I did try all of these. I did try to make most of them work. I don't think there's anyone that I really neglected much. I think I spent, in the beginning, I spent a lot of gold leveling them up, like 2 to 3 million just down the drain, just leveling them up, getting the metal. It was a fiasco. If you ask me, that whole metal artisan's metal thing, it was not worth it in the end, truthfully. But let's get into it. All right. Okay, let's start at the beginning. We're gonna get these out of the way, which is, oh, before we do that, let me go into the tiers, right? So S tier means it made the bulk of my gold, right? This is where, you know, a lot of it came from. A is like a good side little hustle that I got going on. It was good trickle side money. B, negligible, you'd get every once in a while a little bit of gold here and there. C, basically almost nothing, maybe bits and pieces here and there. It kind of messes with B and C, right? And D is just nothing. It's D for dumpster. It made no gold. Probably, let's do this. I lost gold with this one. And C is just maybe very little. And B, it's negligible. And A, you know, good side hustle money. And then S being the bulk of my income. All right. So let's start with the ones that fizzled very quickly, and those were herbalism, mining, and engineering. So I want to put them in B. Put them up here in B. Herbalism, mining, and engineering. I'm going to put engineering a little further forward. Now, the thing with engineering, it was pretty cool because a lot of people didn't want to get into it. At certain times, it was good to make, you know, all the reagents, but honestly, it's just a ton of reagents to keep track of. And a lot of people started to steer away from the engineering risks because they became popular at a time. And then for some reason, it fizzled, right? So it really didn't make much gold off of that. It seemed like it was going to start doing good, but then it fizzled real quick. Same thing happened with herbalism and mining. These I did a lot of gold in the beginning, but then immediately it's just starting crashing and crashing and crashing to the prices they are now. And right now it's really not worth doing these professions because one, there's a lot of bots, and two, it's just a pittance now. Everyone's basically dumping stuff, and it doesn't make you much gold. The only caveat being that if you're down in the Xylock Cavern, and if you're still mining, you still get those spores, which you can turn into the, Dracosiths, or the, alchemists can turn into the Dracosiths. So that is still going. But then again, that will pretty soon crash and burn. So these did me decent amount, nothing great, but they did me a good amount of gold in the beginning. Get me started. Okay, alchemy, that lost me a lot of gold. I was really trying to get this thing off and running, supposedly because of the multi-craft and all this kind of stuff. This was just, hit myself against a wall, and I lost my teeth. I lost a lot of gold with this thing, especially getting all the metal, because you had to use the metal to do the experimentations, to discover the damn friggin' potions and flasks and all this kind of stuff. And in the end, I just cannot make this profession work. It was so volatile with the prices. It was just ridiculous. You had to hit the market at just the exact time, like this golden 1 hour. This 1 hour where everything just lined up and you could make some good gold, and then the next hour it would disappear. And I was like, you know what? I can't deal with this volatility. There's so many things I have to work with. Even having my scribe to, max out the other materials, the optional reagents. It was just too much. Too many plates to balance. And I'm like, you know what? I quit. And I ended up losing a lot of money. Even with the Draconflight transmutes, they were just not enough to make me want to put time into this profession. Okay, next up, let's pick, let's see. Let's go with skinning. Skinning, I'm going to be honest with you, I ignored from the beginning. Why? Because it was so easy to skin mobs that the scale and the leather, it just hit rock bottom and it just never recovered. The only saving grace was in Aberrus, where they added those elusive beasts, right? That you could only get one a piece. And for some reason, this cobra skin was like very expensive at the beginning. It just started very expensive, and they kind of kept its value as opposed to the other, elusive creatures you could get. So a lot of people started getting alts, myself included, and I have to say that was a nice little side hustle, having 5-6 alts all parked in the Zeralak Cavern, just farming this cobra every day for an average, I want to say 5-6k gold, and you could get quite a few of them. There was days that, like, let's say I have my 6 alts, 3 of them would get them, so I get a 50-50 on getting. It was roughly that. I want to say maybe over 30%, because at least one of my alts would get it every single day. Usually around 2, and then rarely I would get it 3. So it was up there that I would get these cobra skins, and plus I would get the lustrous scales and a few other things, and sometimes I would get some elements and stuff. And I would, by the time I would wait for someone to spawn the mob, I'd go pick some herbs or some mining nodes with my other ones that did have mining and herbing. So it was a nice little side hustle, which I still do to this day, and it's still profitable. It averages me about 15k a day, just doing that, and it's fun because I get to play all these alts and just kill this cobra. It's a nice little thing, and it's been profitable. But these other mobs that you can get, all these little the trophies, right? The horns and the feathers and all these things, right? That made a nice little side hustle. All right, let's go with something else. Let's go with inscription. Now, inscription is the one that really only made me a little bit of gold. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it above. No, actually, man, this is kind of tricky. Yeah, it's gonna be around here, right? It wasn't as good as engineering, because engineering still stayed on a while. But every once in a while, I would start noticing in trade chat people wanting to get their codexes or their weapons made, and I'd tell them, hey, just send it to my alt, and they'd be very happy, because apparently a lot of people just didn't do inscription, and I don't blame them. But I invested time in all my alts. I had inscription up all the knowledge up to the kazoo, and I can make their weapons, and I would get on average 5 to 10K per craft. And it was nice. It wasn't as good as a little side hustle, because they would be so far and in between, but it was just enough to make me a little bit of pocket change. But as far as like Dark Moon cards, that was dead on arrival. The missives, very little profit into those. The inks or the other, it was just, honestly, inscription is probably one of the worst professions other than alchemy to make any money. But I actually made it profitable just a smidge, and I think that's a good spot for it. All right, let's go with another one. Let's go with enchanting. I'm gonna put it right here and see. So the thing with enchanting was, in the beginning, there was a lot of shenanigans going on, and a lot of people made a lot of gold, doing some, I would say, not Blizzard approved methods, right? But for me, I didn't really focus on that, because again, it was another one of those markets that was very volatile. You were spending a lot of gold to try and squeeze out these things, and it was very competitive. So I stayed away from it. The only saving grace is lately with the crests. Now with the crest, as long as you got the pattern, you can log into your alt, see if you got any orders posted, any public orders, snipe those, and hopefully you would get a resourcefulness proc and get a few purple gems, or if you got really lucky, some Draco Siths. That was an easy 4K a pop. So it was it wasn't nothing, but it wasn't anything anywhere near the other professions. So in the end, it was nice. It's just something I pop in. I might make a few thousand go hold here or there. It really didn't do much for me. All the illusions, they were a flop. So it fizzled for me real quick. So I didn't bother with enchanting. But hey, it makes me a few gold here and there every once in a while. Okay, next up, we're gonna go with tailoring. Now, where should I put tailoring? I think I'm gonna put it just above enchanting. I don't know if it's a lot of people are not playing cloth classes, but I've made only a handful of actual armor pieces. There are no public orders whatsoever for any cloth armor. You did have your transmutes or whatever for the thread, which I was doing that, but I just found it boring to have to travel to 2 different places to pop everything and hope that I got multi-crafts on these kind of stuffs. And yes, you could make a good amount of money per round of crafts, but it got boring and I just didn't want to do it. And just there wasn't many, like I said, I put a ton of points into these cloth professions or for the garments, and in the beginning a lot of people wanted this one recipe, which was too expensive. They didn't want anything from the other armor pieces, so I gave up on that real quick, and I didn't make much. But every once in a while I made a little bit of money. Someone doing their craft, nobody was paying attention to them, kind of like the same thing with inscription, and I'm like, alright, let me get on my alt and send me this stuff and I'll make it. Again, the resourcefulness crafts were basically nothing, because again, with cloth, it tanks so quickly. There's nothing really of value, and there's no public orders whatsoever. So yeah, it made nothing, negligible amount of gold. Alright, let's go with what's next. Let's go with blacksmithing. Now blacksmithing, it pains me, but I have to put it at a little bit of a side hustle. The metallurgy part didn't pan out. The stonework didn't pan out. A lot of people, and this goes for all these armor types of professions. I learned too late that a lot of my points should have just gone towards armor pieces that were not tier, because nobody was touching anything anywhere near their tier sets. People wanted crafts for their wrists, for their belts, and for their boots, right? And the only exception would be those specialty pieces, like let's say for plate, they had those Frostfire Legards or something to that effect. I can't remember what it was exactly, but even for leatherworking, they got their boots, so that really didn't affect with the tier pieces. So right now, blacksmithing is a nice little side hustle that I can pop in and out, and make a few crafts. Like somebody needs some wrists, or every once in a while somebody wants some like a weapon, right? But the thing was that a lot of people were recommending that when you got your spark, you put that towards one of those specialty pieces of equipment. And by the time people got like more of those sparks, like after they made their armor piece, after they made their ring, after they made their neck, then they decided to, hey, maybe I still need that weapon. But by the time, honestly, that they got all those sparks, they didn't need a weapon. They had gotten one from PvP, or I mean not PvP, but Mythic Plus or Raid or some other place. So they really didn't need to. So weapons really were far, in between crafts, and it was mostly armor. And so, again, a lot of people, like kind of like cloth, it seems like a lot of people are not playing plate classes as, tailoring. So it was just a nice little side hustle for me. Better than skinning, definitely. But in the bulk of things, not much. All right, next up, we're going to go with jewel crafting. So jewel crafting, I'm going to put it in A. It was a nice little side hustle. What limited me to jewel crafting was that I didn't go for the, mining or the procking of the materials, trying to get those diamonds. To me, that was just, oh my god, I don't want to be there, ding, 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 trying to fish for these diamonds, right? Which again, that market fizzled. It wasn't up until these crafts that use the diamonds. Who uses the diamonds? I don't even remember who uses them. That it kind of picked back up, or was it with this new tier? I can't remember. Anyways, the only thing I could really make were the necks and the signets, right? The rings, which were in the beginning were pretty profitable, but then commissions started really coming down, and a lot of people were getting other things, and they were using their sparks more for armor pieces. So up until today, it's a nice little side hustle that I pop into my jewel crafter and make a few crafts here and there, but it's not that profitable. The only caveat being, if you had the money and bought the lariat pattern, yeah, you made a killing. This is probably one of your, probably would be S tier for some people that, but they already had the money, and it was kind of like a flash in the pan type of thing. I think people that still have that pattern are still making decent gold, because still a lot of people ask for their lariat crafts. They like it, but for me, it was a side hustle, and it still is. And now we're going last, but definitely not least. And this was the heavy hitter for me. This was the one that has carried the bulk of my gold making. That has been leather working. Because I'm going to tell you, it seems like everybody is either playing a hunter, a druid, an evoker, a demon hunter, like myself. Leather and mail is just in vogue. Everybody needs these crafts, not to mention those specialty ones like the toxic patterns. Those are in demand. This was it for me. It wasn't so much as the reagents, because that was hit or miss. I did dabble into that, but again, it was hit or miss. But it was just me planting myself on the damn leatherworking bench and just hitting trade chat. And it was craft after craft after craft. I've made a lot of crafts, and I got good at it. And getting those procs and those materials It's been the workhorse for me. Leatherworking has been the workforce. I can't imagine how many millions I owe to that. As far as the professions go, leatherworking has been king for me. Video that's showing where I made most of my gold, right? I don't know how it's gonna be looking for the war within. I'm still holding my breath to see how the professions are gonna pan out. But if it doesn't, I think this is gonna be the route I'm gonna be taking for my professions. I'm gonna be focusing in the new expansion. But again, we still don't know much about it, so this could change. And I'm excited to see the changes. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.